Let's start with the Bengals there, Herbie. What do you make of that game?
Embarrassing. I'm a lifelong Bengals fan, and that's, of all the low points in my life as a Bengals fan, there have been many. I think that was probably the most disheartening I've ever felt after watching a game, because Burfict makes a great play to intercept the ball. It looks like he seals the deal. Game's over.
Yeah.
And a very talented back, Jeremy Hill, fumbles the ball to give the Steelers life. And they're playing with an injured quarterback who's an outstanding quarterback. And the Bengals are going to give him 30 yards in personal fouls. You can split hairs all you want. He was faking it. He wasn't. What was Joey Porter doing out on the field? You lost your cool. You completely came apart at the seams at the most important time. A chance to give them a playoff win. And how long? What's it been? Since like 1990 or something?
Yeah.
I mean, that was very, very difficult to digest.
I think that Marvin Lewis and the Bengals need a separation. I just think that they've both gone as far as they're going to go. That's 13 years, 7 playoff appearances, but 7 consecutive one-and-dones in the playoffs. I don't think any other coach survives this situation, Herbie.
Well, because there have been so many lean years where the Bengals were an afterthought, you get to like week 7 and they're already mathematically eliminated. At least Marvin Lewis has kept them in the hunt. At least he's kept them where you keep your interest in the season and you get excited for potentially getting to the postseason. You're right, there hasn't been a lot of success, but I just think that as a head coach, you continue to grow, you continue to learn from mistakes, and to me, it's not a shock. It wasn't out of character for the two players involved to do what they did. I think sometimes they're both very, very talented players, but sometimes I think they get more caught up in the one-on-one confrontation of the battle of that game, whether it's a receiver or a running back or somebody talking trash or whatever it might be, and they forget to get caught up in the bigger picture, which is the thing up there at the top there, that scoreboard. That scoreboard says that we're winning. So put whatever you're having to deal with, put that to the side and focus on winning the game. And keep in mind, they were competing without Andy Dalton, who was having a Pro Bowl type of year. A.J. McCarron, a young guy who's never seen that kind of speed in a game in the playoffs, and they somehow found a way in that second half to get competitive. But I don't know if getting rid of Marvin's an answer. I just think he needs to continue to kind of adjust and tweak, in my opinion.
The College Football Playoff National Championship tonight on ESPN, 8:30 Eastern. They have the MegaCast concept, 14 alternate feeds of the game across ESPN networks, talking to Kirk Herbstreit. Before I get to tonight's game, did you ever hold for a place kicker on field goals or extra points?
I did.
Okay, what happened in the Minnesota game? Blair Walsh kicked a couple of times with the laces facing towards him. How big a deal is that, and did that have any impact on that final result?
I think for kickers, it's more of a mental thing than it is anything. Blair Walsh is one of the best kickers in the league. He would be able to, if you went out, did an experiment with him for fun for your show, and had him kick the ball with the laces, you would see that he would be very effective in still being able to make a field goal with the laces facing him. You are trained as a holder to do whatever you can to get those laces turned away, and not only turned away, but the ball tilted a certain way. Typically, it's away from the kicker towards the holder. That's the way most kickers like it. And if you happen to not get it down, most of the really talented kickers still put it through. I think the pressure, you got to think that Sherman coming close on the first one, I don't know, something got into his head. The hold was not great, but Blair Walsh should be the first one to tell you, even with a bad hold, he still has to put that ball through the uprights from, what was it, 26 or 27 yards?
27, yeah. Do you think he could kick a watermelon through the goalpost from 27 yards out?
I think he would explode the watermelon. I think his foot would go right through the watermelon. Unless it was maybe on that day, then he would probably break his foot because of how cold it was.
All right, is there a clear favorite tonight?
Well, I think on paper, Bama's the favorite. Bama's defensive line, and Dan, I know you follow football as well. I mean, their defensive line, in all the years I've been either playing or covering sport, and I'm not just saying this to make it sound like they're this great group. They really really are, because not only do you have 3 potential first-round picks on the defensive line, middle linebackers a first-rounder, Reggie Ragland. Beyond that, this team last year when they lost to Ohio State, they didn't have that focus, that laser focus as a group, and I think it ended up costing them. This team does, and their pulse is the defensive line. And so they have been very, very effective. It's very tough for them teams to run the ball on them. If there's one guy and there's one way that Clemson can do this, it's Deshaun Watson. He's arguably the best player in the country. He's a dual-threat guy, which is kind of an equalizer in our game, the college game. And they spread you out and they run tempo. So their goal tonight will be to wear down that talented Alabama defensive front, get them to have their hands on their hips, try to wear them down, and let Deshaun Watson try to make some magic happen. Very similar to like Vince Young that year when SC played Texas, when Vince Young had that moment. If Clemson ends up winning this game, to me, it'll take that kind of performance from arguably the best player, as I said, in the country and on the field tonight is Deshaun Watson.
Would you be in favor of voting for the Heisman after the bowl season?
I would, but I tell you, if I voted after, I would have voted for the same guy that I voted before. I don't still know if enough people watch the West Coast to really appreciate Christian McCaffrey. What he did against Iowa was, you could say, boy, Iowa's really struggling on defense. McCaffrey did that to most of the teams that he played. The kid is, I refer to him as like, you ever go to a peewee football game? There's one guy that's just like insanely better than everybody else that's playing. And he's that guy. And he's just a very, very unique talent. I think he'll be the face of the sport next year. And as I said, to me, he was very, very deserving of winning it.
More likely that Nick Saban, his final game, whenever that is, would be his final game as a coach, or just final game at Alabama, and he would coach elsewhere?
His next stop, to me, will be on the College Game Day set. I think he is going to coach at Alabama. I think he still feels in his mind that he's in his prime. If he wins tonight, it's his 5th championship, which is just ridiculous to think about. His 4th at Alabama since 2009 when he won his first against Texas.
Does he get a statue, Herbie? Every time he wins a national title, they build a statue at Alabama? Is that right?
I mean, he's already got one statue. You want to just keep putting them up? Sure. I mean, he's got a statue right next to Bear Bryant with his hat on and everything. So he's he does it. He's a unique coach. In my lifetime, I don't know, Bobby Bowden, Joe Paterno, Bo Schembechler, Tom Osborne. There have been some great ones. Nick Saban is in an elite class, whether he wins or doesn't win it tonight. But yeah, 5 is pretty special. But I don't think he's going to the NFL. I don't think he's coaching anywhere else in college. He'll ride this out in Tuscaloosa, and then he'll probably get into TV. I think he enjoys doing TV.
All right, I'll leave you with this tough question. You have to pick. You can have Spurrier or Saban on College Game Day.
I love the head ball coach. I love his personality and his mannerisms. I'm one of those guys that I get a kick out of anything he says. But Nick Saban is like E.F. Hutton. Like when he speaks as quietly as he does, everybody's leaning in and listening to what he has to say. So I'd have a lot of fun with Steve Spurrier. But I really enjoy, and we've had Nick on the set a number of times when he's not in the championship as our guest analyst. Urban Meyer will be on tonight, and I would probably have to pick Nick Saban.
Who throws it farther right now, you or Tim Tebow?
I'd probably say me. I'm an old guy, but I don't know. I could probably get it out there at 55 or 60 yards. I don't know. I don't know how far. The big fella. By the way, I mean, he's like RoboCop. I mean, you accidentally like elbow him, like you're telling a story and you kind of laugh. You throw an elbow into him. It's like, what are you doing, dude?
But Herbie,
your body's made out of steel.
Can you tell him to stop with the mediums? All right, tell him to go to a large with a shirt. All right.
I'm telling you. And how about ESPN? Him just wear anything and everything he wants on air, like. Here I am, tied, jacket, buttoned up.
I know.
My man's got he's got like 4 necklaces on, a T-shirt, whatever he wants.
It's like he just came from Urban Outfitter and then he walked onto the set with you guys.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm like, who's in charge of him? I mean, everybody else necktie, buttoned up. So he's probably in the best shape of his life. But I think I could get him on distance.
Have fun tonight. Thank you, Herbie.
All right, man. Take care. Tell all those guys I said hey.
All right, Kirk Herbstreit.